Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, we are going to be basically comparing the Moto X4 Android One version I got from Project Fi against the Huawei Honor 8, a pretty decent mid-ranger, and basically just how well does the Honor 8 stack up against current devices. Hey everybody, what's going on? And so, as I stated, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Honor 8 versus the Moto X4. Now, the reason I'm doing this video is not so much to really compare the two against each other, but just kind of see if the Honor 8 stacks up in 2018, and especially against up against a device that's also a mid-ranger that is running 8.0 Oreo. So that's the true reason why I am wanting to compare these two. I mean, they got a lot of similarities when you kind of think about it. Both have a front and glass backing. Both have metal side rails. Both have dual rear-facing cameras with dual LED flash. Both of them have a pretty solid front-facing camera, although the Moto X4 has a front-facing flash, which the Honor 8 lacks. Both have the same capacity of internal storage. And yeah, so let's go with the Moto X4 here. The Moto X4 basically is running Android 8.0 Oreo. As far as its chipset, it is using the Snapdragon 630, and that is a octa-core clocked at 2.2 gigahertz. And it does basically have, I believe it's 3 gigs of RAM, I want to say. Yeah, 3 gigabytes of RAM. The 64 gig version has 4 or 6 gigabytes, depending on the variation. Fingerprint Reader in the front, like I said, dual rear camera lenses with dual LED tone flash, glass backing, metal rail on the side, power buttons and volume rockers all on the right side, and they are textured to distinguish the differences between them, and so that's always good to see that. As I was saying, on the sides it's just basically just metal. So not too bad at all for the Moto X4. Now we're going to look at the Honor 8. The Honor 8, basically, for its chip processing power, it's using the HiSilicon Kirin 950. It's an octa-core chip, and I believe it's at, like, I'm trying to remember exactly what it's clocked at, because I know that that 4 cores of it's clocked at 2.3 gigahertz. The other 4 is clocked at 1.8. This device, whether 32 or 64 gig, comes with only 4 gigabytes of RAM. So its ability to process apps should be really good. Now, the same thing with this one, glass front and back. Fingerprint reader on the back, though. You have the dual cameras on the back with dual tone LED flash. And I believe it has, I want to say that's a sensor right there for fast focusing. The front of the device, not really so much there. Both have USB Type-C. However, I like the way that this is set up. It's got the speaker on the bottom and the headphone jack on the bottom. On the right side, you have your power button that's textured, and then your volume rocker. So I do love the fact that they do these little details. SIM card and SD card slot on the left side. But the one that is cool is that this phone has an IR blaster, which you guys can see on the top right there. Like I said, both devices are similar in some ways, but then they actually get pretty different. So, as you guys can see, the Moto X4 runs 8.0 Android, so Oreo. So it has the latest version, even though Android P developer preview is out. The latest full version of Android is on the Moto X4, whereas on the Honor 8, it is running the 7.0 Nougat. Now, it hasn't gotten any updates. I believe the Honor 8 Lite or Pro are set to receive Oreo, and it's been said that the Honor 8 itself will not receive 8.0 Oreo. It did get a recent update, though, that updated the skin UI for the Honor 8 from EMUI 5.0 to EMUI 5.1. It added some other things like 360, I want to say panorama for photo taking. But other than that, no major software update for the Honor 8. Now, when you kind of think about it, Both these phones are very similar in various ways. Battery life, they seem to be on par with each other. I get about the same amount of times. And as you guys can see here, while I'm explaining more of my experience, I'm going to be testing basically opening apps with them and then going through its RAM management. But the screens, if you guys look at the screens right there, you can see that the Moto X4 has a more cooler screen, but that's because I adjusted it because of the weird setting it had first outside of the box. The Honor 8 has more of a warmer tone to its screen, and so, but these things can always be adjusted in display. Audio, I want to say honestly, they're both on par with each other, although the Moto X4 has its speaker up front, which is the same spot for your speaker receiver for your phone calls. It has some richness to it, not stereo, but definitely you can hear the bass, but the bass doesn't actually completely like rattle the phone when you have it on full volume. But you can hear the depth and tone of the audio quality from the Moto X4. And the same could be said about the Honor 8, although its speaker is down-firing, facing from the bottom. And it's not stereo, but it's got some richness to it. Now, you can adjust it in settings, and you can make it a flat tone, or you can keep it with bass enriched and depth. So audio quality, I mean, they're both pretty good on it. So far, the Honor 8 is keeping up with the Moto X4. As far as features, quality, and just downright functionality. Even though it's running a later generation of Android, still works actually pretty good. And as you guys can see from right now what I'm doing with all these tests of opening apps simultaneously, the Honor 8 is holding its own. It's actually keeping up. Where you would think the Moto X4 would fly for the specs and performance that it has, which is really good. The Honor 8 is doing a fantastic job keeping up with it. And that's something that, I won't say I find surprising at all whatsoever, because the Honor 8, even though, if you want to look at what's on sheets, black and white, above all, I've been using the phone for quite some time. I've had it in my collection. I've used it on Mint Sim. I've used it just with about, Simple Mobile, AT&T, Freedom Pop, and the phone has always worked out great for me. Absolutely sad that, of course, my main carrier I choose, which is Boost Mobile, doesn't have the ability to allow these unlocked devices, like fully unlocked devices. They allow some, like Galaxy S7, Galaxy S6, iPhones, of course, but nothing in the realm of like Huawei, which would be really awesome to see. That when Sprint pushes full VoLTE in the future. Here in not in the future, but by the end of this year, and then also with the launch of their 5G, that is supposed to obliterate CDMA, therefore allowing unlocked devices should be able to be compatible with their network, which Boost uses that same network as well. So at this point, you guys can pretty much see that I have basically went through the cycles of RAM management, and they do pretty good so far. So before I end this video out, I'm just going to show you guys some shots and video clips at the end of this video from the camera to pretty much end it out. But in all seriousness, the Honor 8 keeps up very, very, very well with the Moto X4. And the Moto X4 is not a flagship device. It is a high mid-ranger by Motorola, especially the one I have is the Android One version, which is set to get OS updates and security patches. The Honor 8, being that it's on 7.0 Nougat, handles very well. It's still one device I would recommend for you to pick up. If you're not someone that just has to have the latest version of Android, then this phone will literally surprise you on just how well it functions, how well it performs, and it's not even on 8.0 Oreo. It's on 7.0 Nougat, but it still does a fantastic job. Both phones, to me, are literally, as far as user experience, are on the equal side. That's really what I have to say for that. So let's go ahead and check out these camera samples here at the end of the video, and drop a like if you guys love it, and subscribe. Till the next time. Alright, so this is just a video sample from the Moto X4. Don't look too shabby at all. This is a video sample from the Honor 8. Seems to be a little out of focus to start off with, but the auto correction is pretty quick.